Okay, this is an American can company, or American adding machine by the American Can Company. I made a previous video on this where I took it apart and discovered that some of the clearing levers inside are broken. So if I pull this up, some of these up here, you'll see that some of them don't clear. This is getting sticky now. So these three don't clear. So I got some sheet metal, so hopefully we can remake those parts that are broken and get this machine back to 100% working. So I'm going to start by taking these handles off here. I'll get a wrench or something for this one. That should work. Yeah, I'll take both handles off, and then there's a couple tabs on the bottom you have to take off. Off, and then this one has to come off as well. We'll lay this one on the side, and then these two screws come out. Actually a very thin sheet metal for the case. Take these tabs out. And then so those things lock in little tabs here. These tabs that stick through a part of the upper case, and they have a little cutout here that these cutouts lock into. So it holds the case on. So now you have to pull all of these out, which hopefully won't be too hard considering it's also going to be hard. I just had these out not that long ago. Just one. I thought I cleaned them up and put them back in so they wouldn't be this hard next time, but hard anyway. So let me pause till I get those out. Alright, so all the difficult tabs have been removed, so they should just lift off now. Theoretically. Set that off to the side. Take off this little sound deadening thing here. Not sure if that has a stresses in it or not, but I doubt that it would. Okay, and now we're into this. So what we have to get out is this main shaft in the middle. So I'm going to see if I can get at least one of these sides off. I'm not sure. Actually, look at they're all kind of molded together. This might be one solid piece down, around, and up. So let's start by taking some stuff off and see what happens. This thing looks like it's probably attached to that middle shaft also. Probably one thing that I should do first is take this spring off here. You can see that we have a couple of shafts. So this lifts up and then this shaft, I'm not quite sure what that shaft is. Actually, there's a cotter pin on the other side. The other side, see what we have. That's the other side of that shaft. So like these two shafts are held in by this wire, and we've got a cotter pin here on the middle shaft. So let me start by taking some of these springs off so I don't snap myself with anything. So I'll take this one off and we'll take that one off. Unhook these. It's going to require probably some filling. So let me get these springs unhooked. This one might not be too bad though. Actually, yeah, it's bent over. So all these are going to require a little bit of playing around with to get them out, I think. to unbend this one here a little bit to see if that will. Oh, so close. Alright, so I'm clearing out those a little bit. So I took both of the cotter pins out of this shaft after I got the springs unhooked, and it still kind of looks like there's a little bit of a ridge here, so see if I can file that off a little bit. Make it want to come through. It's getting a little bit better. Check the bottom side. The bottom side looks fine. There we go. Spring shaft out. Let's flip this around back to this side. We can get this cotter pin out and take this piece off. So maybe the only thing that holds that shaft in, I'm not quite sure. It's not going to cooperate too well. Should come off now, I think. There we go. So I don't see anything else holding that shaft, at least not on this side. On this side, looks like we've got a C-clip. I'm not sure which way it comes out. It looks like it might come out that way. Let's move that down a little bit. Is there anything else that is, well, I do have these springs on the back, so maybe I should take these out as well. Actually, those are on ratchets, so those should probably be okay. And I don't think there's anything else. Little springs here, those are just on that shaft. So yeah, nothing else should be spring powered on that main shaft. So let's this is not really a good video because I can't really see what's going on exactly, so I'm not quite sure what to show. The shaft is slid out of at least this side. Everything shifted forward a little bit. Let's keep going. Alright, shaft's all the way up. Nothing exploded yet. There it is. See the C-clip on that side. Not sure how hard it's going to be to get back in, but I think we had to take pretty much the whole thing out anyway. So what we can do is, I'm not sure if this whole thing will lift out, or whether we have to take everything else out first, which would be rather annoying. Yeah. Okay. I guess I'll take this shaft out so we can take the number wheels out, and we'll see where that gets us. So this is just held in with this little wire here. So let's see if we can bend that down. On. out far enough, almost. Oh, now it's all the way out. And then here come the number wheels out. Push probably. I'm showing we'll do this two-handed, or one-handed rather. So these pieces actually look like the interface down there. So we'll just throw them back there for now. So I'm getting oil all over these wheels. Can't help that. Keep these in order. I'm not sure. It shouldn't matter which order they go back in, but I'm gonna do that anyway, just in case. These out of the way. I'm just not sure what these are for exactly. Yeah, so that shaft is out now. This last wheel out. This last other thing. Okay, and now we'll see. So it looks like this piece is separate. All right. I might try unhooking the springs here. It looks like they might be caught on there. So let me, I'll just take this I'll just take this shaft out of the back here. So just out of that. Wow, that was some tension on those springs. Wasn't expecting that much tension. See how it snapped that down. So this is going to be hard to get off now because of that. But all right, this is going to be a bit harder to do one-handed. So if I can show it this way, actually. Throw all of these back over the top for the time being, and I'll just go one spring at a time here. Try to get these off. Springs actually don't seem that stiff. It just must have been the pressure of all of them caused that shaft to snap down. So got that shaft out. I'll throw these back over the back here, and out of the way, and then now all of these should be free. Not trying to action on those anymore. Okay. There's also this chain here. I guess that's just a lock on those. So that could have been causing an issue as well. These are off back pretty far. So let's see now. Still doesn't want to come out. Okay. Might turn the camera off and take a closer look at this because I'm not quite sure what exactly is holding this in here now. This thing seems pretty free, but the actual, so these things go in there. I'm not sure if those would be holding. No, this one seems pretty loose. Oh, I think I know what it is. I think this thing, yeah. So there's a big plate on the bottom here that is held in by another shaft. Okay. So this shaft down here goes through a slot in the side of the entire rocking mechanism. So let's see if we can undo that. difficult. There we go. So now this should come out. Okay, now let's see if this wants to. No, it still doesn't want to. I think I end up taking like the entire thing apart just to see. Okay, now there's other things. Okay, there's other things on this shaft back here. Okay. So if you look down there, get a pointing device. You see these things here look like they might be going down around underneath. So I'm going to end up having to take this shaft out too to get all that out. So let's see how that one comes out. Not sure how it comes out unless it's just spring held in there. Yep, that's it. Just got to spread this size a little bit and then it just came out. So we've got those out, got these out, we've got these things, which actually I'm not sure how those were holding it in. Okay, it's still not coming out. Because of this shaft, I think now. Get this last wire out here. Should come out, I think. Came out of the other one. I don't know why it's not wanting to come out of this one. Okay, this is going to be difficult for some reason. There we go. Let's see if this will come out now. It should. Oh no, there were spring-loaded things on it. Okay. This is a lot more involved than I thought it would be. I thought that thing would just lift out of there. Now these springs are activating things that are attached to it. See, these are also in there. So all these things are going to have to come off, I think. So let me pause the camera while I take all these springs off, because that would be a pretty boring video. Okay, so I finally got it out. I ended up taking all the shafts out. It was just kind of messy. These things, what I'm talking about. These things go all the way like down under inside there. So this is going to be interesting to put back together. Get this out of the way. This is what we're interested in. Notice that there's a spring here. Take that off. I'll take. So this is, oh, these little things too. And the whole thing's going to fall apart now. Okay, so what we are interested in is not that or that. I believe it is this. I can double check that. Yeah, so this thing is what the sliders go in that you pull up and down. So this rocks back and forth, and it ratchets in with these teeth here, like that. And then this thing will come up, will be, I'm showing, this thing will be in the back here. And what it will do is it'll come up with this finger, show you the right side. This thing will come up with this finger and just punch that and release the tension and drive this back home. As you can see, this one is missing the little tab there that would locate it on the key in this shaft. You can see what's supposed to happen is that the handle screws into the end here. So when you pull the handle, these are supposed to rise up and return those home, but because the key is broken off this one, that's why it's not working. So we need to make new ones of these. They look pretty flat except for this bump here. I'm not sure what that bump is for, but I'm gonna have to figure out how I can make that, probably with a punch or something maybe. Not sure how important the shape or the depth or anything is. Actually, looks like it just provides friction on here. It's interesting. I wonder why. You can see there's a groove here, so it looks like that just sits on there and provides resistance. Given that these would not actually affix to that shaft, I'm going to assume that this is not actually that important, because the way that it was right now, this was not affixed to the shaft, so this was just spinning always around. Whenever this wheel turned, this one would have gone with it because there's nothing to fix it. So I assume that that's not that important, but maybe we'll see if we can remanufacture that too. Anyway, I'm going to take this all apart. I'm going to look at how all these parts interact. See, these are these things that go like all the way back in there somehow. So yeah, I'm gonna have to take a look at how all this stuff works together and come up with a plan for how I want to reassemble this. I don't know where that came from. Must have been like a friction plate or something. Yeah, it must have been a spring plate or friction plate in there. Thrust plate, I guess, because the springs are on this side, so yeah, it would have been thrusting against that. Anyway, I'm going to examine all these, see how everything fits together, come up with a plan of attack to put this thing back together. But that's going to dictate, how I want to, what I want to set up now and what I want to set up later. Do any of these have any keys left? That one doesn't have a key. Oh, this one has a key. So you see that one still has its key. It's kind of a funny shaped hole though. It's like it was wearing or something. Kind of elongated. Weird. Anyway, we need to remake all these pieces. And we also need to figure out how we're going to hold all these things in place when it comes time to put it back together. See what I can and what I can't pre-assemble. Because maybe I can find a way that I can set this basket back in and assemble most of like the bottom shafts, and then just drop these pieces in the top. I'm going to log into that, see if I can find a way to do that. Now that I know that all this complicated stuff sits down here in the bottom. Okay, so I cleaned this up. There was a whole pile of grease and dirt down here. Cleaned most of it out. These are nice and smooth now. No crunching or grinding of any dirt left in there. So I'll oil those up. I'll put this basket back in, and then I'll try seeing what I can assemble and what I can't assemble without having all those parts ready yet. Okay, so this is what I come up with so far. It's pretty close. Obviously it's not going to be 100% perfect. I just used the sheet metal scissors to cut it out, and then I used what I could. I used the sheet metal scissors as far as I could to cut out the middle, and then just filed the rest to make it the correct shape. So I think it's not bad. And as far as these go, what I did was I used this Torx bit and this socket, and just put the thing like this, and just hammered on the back of the socket to make these indents, and I think they come out pretty well. Pretty close to what the original had anyway. Obviously they're not exactly symmetrical. I think that'll be fine. They're just little spacers to keep the pieces the correct distance apart. So I think that'll be fine. Does slide on shaft here. Slides right on. I might have to turn this a little bit because see it's hitting this. I don't think this one hit that. Just barely. So that actually might be okay. I don't think that'll be a problem in here. I don't think there's any sort of interference that would be that close in the machine in here, so I think that'll be fine. So now I just gotta make at least 2 more, and I might want to make a 3rd one as well, because you can see this one, that little tab looks like it's just about on its last legs there. I don't know how they get bent out like this. And so yeah, I started reassembling part of this. So the 2 that I put back in were the best ones as far as the tab quality. Their tabs were straight down yet. Didn't show any signs of weakness, but this one is bent pretty far out. And you know, if I bend it back in, that's just going to make it even weaker. So I might replace this one as well. This one that I used for the template is also bent out. Doesn't look quite as bad, but it's not the best. So I haven't decided if I'm going to remake one for this yet or not. It's a slow process to make these because you can only do so much with the scissors, and you can't drill out the hole because of this tab. So you just have to get the hole as best as you can, as close as you can with the scissors, and then use a file to file out the rest, especially up in this area. You know, it's quite a bit of filing and then testing and then going back to filing until you get it to fit exactly right. So it takes some time, but we've got to make at least 3 more of these, I think, and possibly a 4th one. As far as the reassembly of this, so I have these 2 in, and I also put all the pieces down on the bottom. So basically, these pieces down on the bottom are the carry mechanism. I'm not sure, probably should have shown this before I put them back together, but basically, this tab right here is what gets pushed when it's time for a carry. And what that does is it releases a, there's like a little egg-shaped plate that this is attached to. And when this pushes down, it rotates that egg-shaped plate. And what that allows it to do is these things down here, you can see what I'm poking at. There's a little trip down here that's spring-loaded. What that allows that to do is when the egg-shaped plate is rotated out of the way, that trip is allowed to spring up and catch a tooth on this gear here, which then drives the next digit wheel 1 place forward, because these things are on the bottom plate here. So basically what happens is this thing rocks back and forth. This is the main bucket here. You can see those catches are rocking too. So this tab is what pushes on this tab. So when this is rotated to the 0 position, I have to double check that, but I think it's when the digit wheel for that column is in the 0 position. Maybe the 9 position or the 1 position. Well, I'll have to think about that, but anyway, there's nothing to do for my timing because these are like, you know, attached here. So actually, it would be something to do for my timing because I have to time them with those wheels, but I'll figure that out later. Anyway, basically the principle is when this wheel rotates to the correct position, which will probably be either 9 or 0, or maybe when it rotates past, something like that. It pushes down on this tab, and that would be as this thing is rotating back. So as you pull the handle down forward, the wheels are rotating in the forward direction, and these would be rotating, and then when it gets to the right position, this would be pushing on that. So if this is held down or pushed down, by the time that this bucket gets to the back position, then on the return stroke, that's when the egg-shaped pieces would be rotated out of the way, and the catch on the forward stroke would catch that tooth and turn the wheel 1 position. So basically, pull this down. At this point, all of the carries would be set that need to be set. And then on the return stroke, all those catches would catch any of the teeth here for which the egg-shaped pieces are rotated out of the way. So I hope that makes sense. Basically all that these do down here are the carry mechanism. I'll have to double check to time these. These would have to be timed with the digit wheels to make sure that these push down at the appropriate time. So I'll have to double check that when I put the digit wheels back in, but for now, I think I've got this pretty much figured out. Okay, so I think I could have left these guys down in the bottom. I don't think I needed to take those out because I didn't really need to take the basket out. I should have just taken everything off the back and then just slid this shaft out and then slid these pieces out the back. But I didn't know that at the time, but that's the way I'm putting it back together. So I put all those pieces in the bottom first, which I showed in the previous clip. And now as far as for putting these large disc pieces in, just slide this shaft back out a little bit. And then the first thing that goes on is this piece. And this thing facing out, because this is where the levers go in. So just drop that down in there. Then we need, take one of our newly made pieces. Slide that on. I think we go on. There you go. That's on. And then these guys have to go in from the back. So let's see how I do this here. Let's see, this goes on like this, but it goes on the inside of this lever. And then the teeth on that gear have to drop down these on this gear have to drop down into the gear on the bottom down there. See if I can slide the shaft through now. There we go. That should be on, and if I line this up correctly and that's in, now this should seems about right. So just wanted to point out that this piece here goes right up against this this little lever here goes right up against the flat side of this drum on the outside, and then these guys go in between the gear and the flat plate of the connected pieces there. So that seems to be the way that it goes back together. It's fitting that way so far. And if we put it together and it doesn't work, then we'll come up with something new. But I'm pretty sure that's the way this goes back together. So I'm going to put the rest of these back on. And then we'll probably move on to the ratchets that lock these gears. Because right now, so if I lift this up, there's not a whole lot of tension. Like this can go backwards if it wants. It's not supposed to happen. So that's what the ratchets are for. So those go in the back here. But those have to go in after all of these gears go in, because the gears have to slide in through where the ratchets would go. So I'll finish putting these in. Then we'll put those in, and then maybe we can test it out. There are a few pieces that aren't back in yet, like these guys. I'm not sure if those will be required to do a little basic test, but we'll see. Also, these guys that go in the front here, something like that, have to go in too. So let me finish putting these back in, and we'll see what's next. Okay, so I got this pretty good amount of the ways back together. Didn't put the numbers in yet, but I got all the front levers back in. So I'll have to find the spring for this. It's around here somewhere. I'll have to find that spring, but Didn't put the numbers back in, but everything else for the most part is back in. There's 1 or 2 shafts that I have to run through. I don't think anything really sits on them. So, what we expect now is if we pull, what's this has? So I didn't reattach the spring here, so this has to be held up to release these. So if we pull all those up and then pull the handle, should all clear now. And they don't, for the most part. These two don't go all the way down, but they do clear, so they're not like latched or anything. This one, however, you can see still has 1 ratchet up. So we can do it again. You can see these ones here, even though they didn't go all the way down flat against the bar, if I pull this handle now, they won't register anything because they're just, like, they're not up on any ratchet, they're just, you know, just not all the way down, but they're not up far enough to be on the first ratchet step. This one, however, is, you can see when I push it down, it clicks one, whereas these ones, when I push down, just slid right down. So, the piece that I made for this column is not quite right. The key must be off a little bit. And I think what happened was, let's see, there's one I didn't put in here because I thought this one was a little bit off, but actually this one might be better than the one that's in there. And this is one of the bent key ones that I didn't put back in. I did put one of the bent key ones back in, and seems to be okay so far. It was okay before, but I was just a little bit wary. This is the worst of the bent key ones, so this one I didn't put back in. Anyway, I think what happened was, as I was making these and I was filing out around here, I may have, without realizing it, moved the key a little bit. Like, because when I cut this out, you know, there was a big glob of metal here that I filed down to the right shape for the key. But I think what happened without me realizing it is that I actually may have filed like too much on one side and not enough on the other side, and actually moved the key a little bit out of a position where it was supposed to be. On this one, when you look at it, looks pretty good. So I might take this back apart and try this one and see if that's any better. The only problem is it's going to take quite a while to take this all back apart again, of course, because it's the middle column, and then put it all back together again to get to this point to test it. So I think I might save that for the next video. I think we might call this one video here. I've explained a bit about how this works. I think I'm going to explain more of it later in the next video. But I'm going to split the video here because it's going to take a lot more time to swap this out, and then if this doesn't work, I might have to come up with something new. So, and I might trim this one because this the one all the way on the end is a bit too far forward. Oh, this is not. You can see how it pushes, how this wheel jiggle a little bit. That's because this tab over the top is too far forward and is actually trying to push past the ratchet point. So that's why this is messed up. So I might try trimming that a little bit and see if we can. It's not a big deal, like it'll work fine. It's just, you know, not exactly the best. So I might try and fix that too. But for now, this is going to be it. I hope you enjoyed looking at, this will be part 1 of trying to fix this. Hopefully there'll be a part 2 if this one works. And thank you for watching.